Hi everybody, this is Tina from Rehatch Designs, and I have a video today on repurposing our packaging since a lot of us are stuck at home, and if you're like me, I'm getting a lot more packages than I normally do because things that I would have gone out to go get, I'm having delivered to my house. And let's face it, it's a kind of an excuse to have things delivered. And I am going to make journal covers, and I'm going to make 3 different ones today using these different packages, and they're different sizes. And I know we all get these, and I thought, well, this would be a fun thing to do. So anyway, I am going to make hopefully 3 different kinds. I'm not sure if I'll get through all of them, but we shall see, because time-wise, I'm not sure where we'll be at, but we'll go ahead and look and see if we can get this done, you know, hopefully in an hour. We'll try and do that. Okay, first off, I love to make this cover kind of like these leather looking covers. I mean, that's one of my favorites. So I'm thinking what I might do is use this to make a cover, but I think I'm only going to use half of it. I mean, cut it in half or cut it open, because I have a feeling it would be too thick after I put my paper on. And honestly, I've never done this, so I don't have actually any idea if this is going to work or not. So let's just hope that it does. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to make a leather looking cover. And we all get this packaging also in your boxes too, in Amazon. And I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use this, okay? And a few other things, glue and stuff like that. But in any case, this is what I'm going to use to make this. So first thing I'm going to do is, I don't know what size this is. This is a really big one. So this is, what, 12? I would say, excuse me, 16 by 13. So this is a really big size, and I am going to cut it open. I guess I'll do it. I don't need this height, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut off this portion over here. And this is the paper one, and I think the reason the one reason I wanted to do this is I thought I can paint one side and make my faux leather on the other side. And if you fold it in half, well, here, I'll open it up first and then you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm just cutting right on the line. I'll have to cut it off some more later to get it the size that I want, but I'm just doing this to kind of open it up. And then I'm going to cut, oh, I bet I didn't cut that all the way down. Yeah, there we go. And then I'm going to cut this in the middle. And this is going to make technically 2 covers. And let's see. Just going to kind of trim that. And the reason these are fun to use for covers is this bubble wrap on the inside. When you cover it, it makes it nice and squishy. Makes it kind of soft and squishy, and actually pretty durable too. So I guess that's pretty straight. Okay, so I want to make my covers. What did I decide? Because I'm going to have a 2-inch spine on it. So I'm going to make 6 6 inches or 6.5 inches and on each side, and then I want to have a 2-inch spine. So let's just call it 7, 8. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it the size that it is now, except the length is probably too long, and I'm going to want to make it a little bit bigger, and I'll cut it down later. So I think I'm going to make it about 10 inches just so that I'm not putting too much on here. So let's see. I'm probably going to just cut it. If this is now 12 inches, I want it 9. I'm going to cut it down to about 10 because that's a little bit bigger than I need it, but that way I can trim it up later. I don't know how straight that is. Probably not real straight because I'm not very good at that. Nope, I can never cut anything straight. Got a problem. Can never cut straight. And this doesn't really matter that much if it's perfectly straight, but I kind of want to get it to close to the size I'm going to need it. Alright, so let's see here. You do the math. 6 and 6 is 12. 13, 14. So I wanted about 14 inches. So that's 12. Okay, 13. Okay, 13, 14. And I'm going to do it about 15. That doesn't seem right. Let me do it again. It's 12 inches, right? 13, 14, 15, an extra inch. So I'm going to cut this off here. And you can make easily 2 covers out of this. Where'd my trash can go? But it's still really crooked. My goodness. Okay. That's part of my issue in cutting this. Is I just, if I can't use a cutter, I cannot cut straight. I really cannot. It's virtually impossible for me to cut straight. Let's see. Okay. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. But, okay, so then I'm going to cut how much more off of here. That's 12. And I want to really do it 3 inches, so I'm going to just cut a little bit more off of here. And that'll get me close to the size that I actually want it. Okay. But that's still crooked. Okay, that looks a lot straighter, I think. Except the top is really, oh God. Alright. See, this is why I cut it bigger, because I have to, evening it out is going to be hard for me because I can never cut straight. Alright, let's see here. Alright. Very close. This side's still a little crooked. Not great, but it'll work. Okay, so let's see what our length is here now. Yeah, that's right about where I wanted it. And then okay. All right, that's almost perfect. Okay. So, anyway, we're going to cut off the one side size the way that we want it. Man, oh man. Okay, better. And we're going to have our paper on one side and our plastic on the other, okay? So what I'm going to do is we are going to cover this side and make it look, this side and make it look, I guess, I don't know, how I would call it, leather-ish, okay? And then the other side, I'm going to put just a kind of a off-white cotton duck cover on it, like this, and that will cover that side, okay? So this will be on the inside, and then our leather look's going to be on the outside, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put, let me see which side I should do first. I think I'm going to do the material first, okay? Well, no, actually, because it might get kind of messed up. All right, change my mind. We're going to do the leather look side first. So what I'm going to do, where did that piece go? Okay, here we go. This one. Yay, it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is you're going to take your packaging, and I make it bigger than what you're going to actually need. And on that, let me start. Here we go. All right, I have that piece. All right, what you're going to do is you're going to take it and you're going to crumple it up a lot, okay? I like it nice and crumpled, okay? And then you're going to take it and kind of smooth it out. And you don't want to smooth it out too much, but you want it enough to where it's, you know, you can glue it down, okay? And on this, I am going to take it and I'm just going to put it right on top of this paper. And you want it nice and wrinkled, so leave the wrinkles in. Don't take too many wrinkles out. Alright, so what we're going to do, I am just going to use my, where did my Yes Glue go? Here it is, right here. My Yes Glue. You can use tacky glue, you can use fabric tack, but I'm going to use this because it does work really well paper to paper, and I have it. But I mean, you can use tacky glue, whatever it is that you're wanting to use. Where is my, and I'm going to use this just to spread it. And you know, this is just really pretty simple. You're just going to take this and cover your packaging. I go from one side to the other. I don't try and cover the whole thing and then glue it down. The good thing about this glue is it does give you a little time to work with it. It doesn't dry immediately, so, and it does really well paper to paper. I have no idea whether this would glue the plastic side down, and I don't think I'm going to try it, but anyway, so I'm going to do that, and then I have lots of extra width and height on this, so, and I'm going to smooth this down, but I'm going to not do it to the point where I get rid of all my wrinkles. I'm going to make sure I get all the sides, get that in there good, just kind of rub it. You want to leave the wrinkles in there, but you want it to be down flat and you want it good, okay? And then we'll do this. I put a lot on there, didn't I? So we're going to do that. And this video will probably end up being a two-part video, so but this will make a really nice, now I've used a smaller one, I haven't used the bigger one, but it makes a really nice cover. Okay, I mean, right now it doesn't look like much, I know, but anyway, and it doesn't matter if this is on straight. You just want to make sure that you have everything covered. Rub it with your hands. Don't use your tool like this because that'll take your wrinkles out, and you don't want to take your wrinkles out, okay? You want your wrinkles to be in there, but you do want to take it with your hand because it's kind of squishy, and go around all the edges and kind of maybe rub it in and just get it all in there good. And then this will take a little while to dry, so I would just leave that, let it dry. Let me put this in my water, and it will probably, I don't know, it takes about an hour to dry, I think, the Yes Glue. It's not a quick drying glue. So, at this point, you can go ahead and cut it. And later on, if you know your edges are not on there good, and you don't have to cut it perfect at this point, but I would just go around the edges and cut it, just so that you don't have the extra paper and with any glue on it while you're doing the next part. And you could, you know, if you're just doing this at home and you're not having to show people what the next step is, let that dry and then come back to it. There's no reason for you to have to hurry and do this next step. I'm just doing it just to kind of show people what we're doing. All right. All right, so we've used our actual envelope, and now we've used our packaging, and we'll show you that's not all you do to that, but we have to let it dry before we do anything else. Okay, so the next step, what we're going to do is we are just going to take, let me take a big piece of this material off because I have quite a bit of it sitting here. I'm actually going to use this for two different things. So, all right. And this I just had gotten at Walmart, but you can buy this anywhere. So, all right. Let me see how big of a piece I need for that. And I just tear it and then cut it later, just because it's easier to work with that way, I think. But okay, so I'm just going to take this, and I like to use material on this this side, just because if you use paper, it tends to show all the little bubbles. Now, if you like that, that's fine, but I usually use, you know, the paper on this side. There's Orty paper because paper to paper glues well. And then on this side is where I usually use the material, okay? So what I'm going to do on this is I am going to use my 3-in-1 glue because I know that it does stick to this really well, okay? So I got a fairly new bottle out because it does take a bit. Make sure you get the ends really well. Usually I go around the ends first. And then I have never tried tacky glue with this. If you have or know whether it would work, you can comment and whatever. But I haven't done that. I have no idea if it'll work. I am going to sew around this later, but I do like it to be stuck on there pretty good. All right. Okay, so that's the ends, and then I'm going to go down the middle. And usually what I do is I do this, then I go across, and then I go this way. And I try not to leave any big gaps because then you'll get kind of bubbles. So, and then I just kind of go up and down like that. So I have it covered. Then I do the same thing over here. Just make sure I get everything as much as I can. And that way I don't have any big bubbles anywhere. Okay, so that's probably enough. And so I've got that, and it's really simple. I always cut my material out larger than what I need so that it's pretty easy. Make sure. Okay. And obviously this doesn't have a pattern, so it's not a big deal. So I'm just going to cover this and get it on there nice and smooth. And get all the corners and just kind of do what I did on the other side. Okay, just make sure I've got it on there good. And this material is pretty thick, but it may show through a little bit. I don't, you know, it will dry and you won't be able to see it. So, but anyway, this is how I do it. And you can use this on there because the bubbles aren't really going to show. But your hands probably are enough. I just like to do that on kind of on the ends to make sure that, you know, that they are on there good. And if they're not, it's not the end of the world. We can always glue them down later too. Okay, so that is probably on there. Make sure I get all the ends on there good. Pretty good. And just because this is an uneven surface, you probably really want to get down there with your fingers and, you know, just kind of squish it into the material so it gets put on there good. And this grabs so quickly that you'll be able to tell if it's in there or not. And you'll be able to tell if you have any gaps or anything or bubbles or whatever. So anyway, that's what I do. I go all the way around. Make sure all the ends are on there. And then I do the same thing as I did on the other side, is I just cut the extra off. And I don't worry about getting it perfect right now, but, you know, since I'm cutting it, I'll try and do the best I can. Okay. And like I said, if there's spots that you missed, you can always go back. And I am going to sew around this, and you can sew around it. It doesn't hurt your machine. You just want to make sure that your glue is dry, because that can mess up your machine. Okay? It's not the thickness of this, it's just the glue. And anyway, that is close to the beginning of what we're going to do on this. And I am going to set this aside to dry. And this is, and you know, you could actually do this either way. You could make this the outside and put something on it, or you could make this the outside. And then I'll show you when this is dry how to make it have that leathery look. Okay, so I mean, there's a lot of possibilities with this. If you wanted to make this kind of a shabby one and wanted to use this as your outside and put that on there, and then have your leather on the inside, or, you know, whatever. Now you can see the little Amazon sign through here, but that's okay. When we get done with this, you won't be able to see it. Okay, so I'm going to leave this aside. Now just remember, we had cut it in half. Okay, so you can still do something to this other side and use it. Okay, and if we have time, I will show you another way to use this. But for right now, this is what we have. Okay, and so we're going to let this dry. And it really makes a soft cover, and it makes a really nice one. It really it has that padding feeling in it, and you're really never going to know that it's a cover when you get it done. You really can't tell. It just feels like you put some sort of padding in there. Okay, so I'm going to put that up there, and then what I'm going to do Where'd my other one go? Ah, here we go. Okay, so this next one is, I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to make a smaller journal. But on this one, I'm going to actually use the whole thing all together. I'm not going to take it apart. And the reason being is this is not as thick as the other one was. And I'm going to use both sides of this, okay? So the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and straighten this up a little bit. And let's see if I can. I bet I could put this in my cutter. Let me see if I can do that. That would be the easiest thing to do. All right, get my cutter right here. And let us see if I can get that kind of straight. All right, so let me do that. Get a little bit off of this. I have no idea if it's straight on the other side either. I actually think it is very crooked. Let me see. It might be a little bit. Let me see. Yeah. So let's see what happens if I cut this straight. See if I can get it straight. So you kind of want to straighten it out, obviously, at first. I'll get that. All right, so that might help. Let's see here. I got that. I'll do that. And, all right. Well, it's a little crooked, but it's not going to matter that much because once we put the material on there, we'll be able to straighten it out a little bit more, I think. It's just the bag itself is a little crooked, so I don't know whether we can maybe straighten it out on the other end. So I go like that and that. Okay. Let's see if I can get that a little bit straighter. I think I'll cut that by hand. That'll be easier probably. Right? Let's see. Okay, so you want to straighten it out as much as possible. I'm going to cut off both sides a little tiny bit. Okay, let's see if I can get that right here. Because don't assume that these bags are straight, because they very rarely are. Okay, so that's a lot straighter, and that should work. Okay, so now we have openings on both ends, okay? And we've cut it in half. I forgot to tell you what size that was. I'm going to have to approximate, because I cut off a tiny bit of it, but this is the 8.5. And I'm guessing right around 12. So that's the size that I'm using. And what I'm going to do is we're going to use this. Like I said, we're not taking it apart. We're using it open like this. So, let me get that off of there. Okay, so let me get the material we're going to use. So on this one, I don't know if this is going to work or not. Oh, here it is. There we go. Because it is kind of see-through. I don't know if it'll work. Let me see. It may not. I have this really cool material. I think I may have to try the other one that I was going to use. Hang on just a second, guys. I'm going to go get that. so I think what I'm going to have to do is kind of change gears a little bit, because the other material I think was a little bit too see-through. So I'm going to do this one. And this one I'm going to do with this material right here on one side. Let's see, yeah, that's good, because you can't really see through it. You have to be careful because you don't want to do one that is, you know what, I think I have another one I might use too. Let me see. I don't know if I can do that on both sides. No. Shoot. Alright, let me see. Okay, I think that'll work. And then I'm going to, on the other side, let's see if this, I think this will work, but I'm not sure, because I don't think you can see through it. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we're going to do that. So on this, all I'm going to do is pretty much what we did on the other one. We evened it out. We cut both the sides open. And then we're going to take our glue and basically do what we did before. And go across here. And go across here. But the only thing difference on this is we didn't cut it apart. The other one, I just think the bubbles are the bigger ones, and they're kind of puffier, and I think to me, it is too thick when you use both of them, so I wouldn't do that. But that's up to you. I mean, you could do that, but these work out pretty well this way. Let me try and get all this glue all over here. Get some more over here. Okay, so anyway, once you get all your glue on there, make sure I have enough on the ends. Again, I will sew this also. You're going to take your material, and I just kind of get it on the corner. Let's see. I may want to rip this a little bit first so I don't waste too much of it. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go from that corner to that corner, all the way over, and I don't know if I got that up high enough. There we go. And just do the same thing we did before. I'm going to go ahead and cut this down so I can work with it a little better. And I'm cutting right to the edge. I'm not overlapping or anything like that, because you'll see when we get done with this that it won't matter. Okay, now you could, overlap this, but I'm not going to do that, because once I sew this, I put lace all the way around the edges to kind of cover up the ends, so I don't bother overlapping. I think it's easier this way, but you could, do it kind of like a present and then do the corners and put your other material in the middle, but I don't do all that because I think this is easier. Okay, so we want to make sure that all the ends are down really good. Okay. I'm going to put my mic over here. I hope y'all could hear me while I was doing that. Okay, so we're going to do that, and then just kind of get that in there really good. Make sure all the ends are on there good. And then I would cut it down even a little bit more so you want to be able to cut the other piece when you get done, and you won't be able to see the ends if you don't cut it down. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can always come back later and do that, but and just use the edge of your envelope here as your guide. I don't know why that's cutting so weird. Oh, that's weird. Okay, it's kind of fraying a little bit on the edges. I don't know what that's all about. I mean, it's the way I'm cutting. Right? Okay. But it won't matter. Like I said, in the end, we'll be covering all of this up anyway, so it's not gonna matter. Okay, so anyway, this is the one side. Okay, then we're gonna take our other material and put it, and I mean, you could, if you wanted to, cover this with another paper or something, but this one I'm going to make all material. Okay, so we'll do that. Oh, there we go. There's my other piece. I knew it was there. So again, we're going to go ahead and put our glue on. And of course, I try and get as close to the edges as I can, you know, because that's the part you really want to make. Make sure you get your middle really good. There's a big old blob on there. Get that off of there. Okay. And then keep going all the way down. And again, I will be sewing this too, so I'm mainly concerned with getting all of the material glued down, but the edges I'm going to sew, so we should be okay. All right, so let's do that, and then we're going to put this one down. And that's one thing I have to say about this this cotton duct material is it's nice and thick. It has a lot of uses, so that's something you may want to, you can kind of see through it a little bit, but not that much. Actually, I think I'm going to do something else to this also. I'll show you later. Okay, so you're going to get that all down. I'm going to do that. All right, so we're going to cut that. And then I'll cut that closer later when it's dry. But for now, I'm just going to make sure I get all the ends down. And when this dries, I don't think I'll be able to see through it, but we're going to do another thing to this part on here anyway, so you won't be able to see it later, but anyway. So basically you're doing the same thing as you did on the other one, and it will stick to that. And when we're done, I am going to sew all the way around here and all the way up here. So, and it makes a really, again, a really nice soft cover. You know, I don't know. And you could, if you want to, leave these sides open and use it to tuck things in. I don't, but you could do that. So anyway, I just want to make sure this is all down really good on both sides. And I'm going to let that dry. Okay. And then, oops, our third one that we're going to do, this one is a little different because what I'm going to do on that, let me see if I can get it the right size. I might use that to measure. Yeah, I think this will be wide enough. Okay, so this size is probably about 13 by 13, the square, okay? So what I do on this one is I am going to take it and I'm going to cut it open this way and this way. And I wonder if I can fit that. I'm going to cut part of it off and get it in my cutter. So that way I can fit it in there. That way I can get it fairly straight. Let's see what we can do here. What I'm trying to do is I'm going to be using this, not double, but single. Yeah, that won't fit. So I have to cut it a little bit. And cut it right on this line. So hopefully it'll fit. Okay, so I want to make this, I don't know if it'll fit under there, 9 inches. Okay, go a little bit past that. So I'm going to go about right here so I can cut that. I don't know if that's going to cut or not. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, that's not going to work in there. So I'm going to try and cut it by hand straight. I'm sorry I have to bring it toward me, otherwise there's no chance that it will be straight. Okay, well, that's not too bad, but it's not great. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut the other side. See if I can get that halfway straight. And let me show you what I just did. I opened it up to where you have one big long piece like this, okay? And so what I'm going to do now is I am going to make this the size of the book cover that I want, okay? Now, I don't know, let's see. You could cut this in half and then, where did my ruler go? That would get you a perfect size cover to make 2 covers. And I might just do that because it's almost approximately in the middle. Anyway, there we go. Let's see. Which side is the least crooked? Try that one. Alright. I do think that one side will cut in my cutter so I can get it a little bit straighter. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I do think it could do better than what I'm doing. Doesn't really want to cut this plastic too much, so. Alright, so there, I'm going to do that. And then this I cut a little bit crooked, so I'm going to go ahead and even that out maybe. Just a tiny bit. Okay, so then there is, let me cut this a little bit. I'm sorry I can't cut in front of you guys because then I cannot get it straight if I don't pull it toward myself, so let me get that on there. Alright, so then you have your piece that you're going to use on this. And on this one, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Oops. There. I have 2 pieces of paper that I'm going to use. Let's see if that one will fit. It should fit. Perfect. Okay. And we're going to put those on, and we're going to use that. Okay. So, yeah, we can trim it down a little bit more, and then let's see which side looks the most crooked. Oh, boy. Definitely this side. Okay. I'll just cut that a little bit. Okay. So, on this side, we're just going to do paper. And on that, I'm going to do the same thing, not rocket science. I do think, though, I may change my paper. Hold on a minute. I'm going to check something real quick before I put more glue on there. I did see something else that I might want to do. I don't know, where did it go? Yeah, I think I might do that. I've had a couple other papers that I was thinking about using that were a little bit thicker. I was afraid they might crack, but I think this will work. I think they'll work. Kind of decided to. I don't know. Here's the other side of it. Here we go. All right, there we go. I had kind of looked at these 2 papers before, but then I thought they might be a little bit too thick, but I think it'll work. I really do. So anyway, well, I may have to get another glue out. Hopefully I have enough to get done. We shall see. Just makes it a little bit more difficult sometimes. Well, I hope everybody is getting some crafting done. I certainly am. My husband, on his lock at home thing, is just going on a Netflix binge, and he watches so much stuff that I actually have no interest in. So I kind of don't feel so guilty being in my craft room, because otherwise I'd be watching these movies that I have no interest in. And we hardly can ever agree on movies or anything or shows even that we both like to watch. So the good thing about that for me is I don't feel so guilty being in my craft room, because he's watching what he wants, he's doing what he wants, and I'm up here just crafting away. So y'all let me know if that's kind of like that for you. Okay, I'm not going to cut that part off because I'm just going to leave this on here. I'm going to kind of line it up as best I can. I can move that over. I'd rather have it a little overlapping than not on there good, because I know this is close to the size that we actually want. So I'm going to put that on there. Same thing as the material, only on this, I wouldn't be afraid to use this because it's not going to definitely show any little bumps. Again, I will sew this. Okay. Do that a little bit more, because I really want this to stick good. I'm going to put this upside down so it can actually get some glue out of that. Okay. Now this side looks like it needs to move a little bit. Okay, there we go. And I will be sewing this, so you know it's gonna definitely be put together on the edges a little better. And then I'm going to go back in. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. So let me cut that a little bit more. That's the one side. So we're going to do the other side. I don't know. I may use that on there. I don't think that goes with it real well. I think I'm going to use that side. Okay. Make sure that works. Okay. So, I'm going to do the same thing we've been doing. Put our glue everywhere. And like I said, I don't know if tacky glue would work on this or not. I have no idea. I'm just mainly using this just to kind of give you guys, you know, an idea of how you can do this quickly. This does grab quickly. And I do know that it will stick to this plastic because I've done it before, but I've never used tacky glue. So now the other one, first one that I did that I used the Yes glue on the paper side is because you're gluing paper to paper. This you're gluing, you know, paper or material to plastic. So it may not, you know, it may not stick as well, is all I'm saying. All right, I think that's good. I think we have enough. All right, now, gonna take that, just kind of line it up as best we can. That was horrible. I lined it up terribly. Do it again. Try not to get glue everywhere. Okay. So we're going to do that. Leave that down. Oh, I did a terrible job. I'll just cut it later. Okay. So again, we're going to go ahead and make sure that's down well. And you can use this on that because your little bubbles are not going to go through. And I do use it on that. I want it on there nice and thick. And you got to realize is since it's kind of not a flat surface, you do need to make sure it gets down there well, whether it's the material or the paper. And I will cut that, kind of even it out a little bit. And I will be, like I said, I will be sewing this later, so okay. But I'm trying to get it as close as I can right now. It just makes it easier to handle. And I usually wind up putting lace or trim on the edges. That's why I don't overlap it. I'm not really worried about that. Okay, this has a little bit of the white showing, but that's okay because we will not see it when we're all done. Okay, so that's that one. And we would let that dry, and that's not going to take very long to dry. So once that's dry, what the next thing that I would do is kind of work your way on your, make sure that gets on there good. You want to make sure you fold it and kind of work it to where it'll fold well, because your paper is not going to do as well as your material, but it will work. And that's the reason I was going to use the other paper, because it's a little lighter weight, but I think that this is going to work. I think it'll work. Okay, so usually what I do when I have a thicker paper like this is I'll work it kind of a little bit, and then so it doesn't crack on me later into the little spots. And then there we go. All right, so we're going to let that dry, and let's see where we're at with this first one in our time. I don't know if we'll be able to get to the next part or not. I don't think it's dry all the way. All right, let's see where our time is here. Yeah, we're right about time. So we're just going to go ahead and do the next part in another video. But this is where we're at. We've got a smaller, let me cut this off. It looks terrible. It looks terrible. All material one. I don't know why that's so bad. So I was not paying any attention to what I was doing on this one. Of course, now when you're doing this at home, you can be a lot more exact. So we've got this material one, and then we've got, finish cutting that. Okay. So we have, and then I'll trim these all up, and I'll probably sew these around the edges next time, and then I'll show you how we finish these covers off. Okay. We have the one that's all material that we basically doubled over. We didn't cut it apart. We just cut off the ends and cut it to size. So that can go either way depending upon what it is that you're trying to do with it. Okay, so that can make a nice little cover. Then we have a material cover, a scrapbook cover that obviously could make a really pretty cover. Decorate that out, and there you go. And then we have this one that could make a really neat cover, and we have not finished the leather thing with it either. But anyway, that is the start of 3 ways to use your packaging. This one obviously is using the actual bag and this. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a part 2 to this, and then you'll see how we make these covers out of that, and they do make really nice covers. So all right guys, I will see you on part 2. So thanks for watching, and don't forget about my Friday giveaways. All you have to do, if you're not familiar, is to be a subscriber and make a comment. And when you do that, that enters you into a pot for my Friday giveaways. And I pull the name out. If you win, you have up to the next Thursday to contact me with your information, and I'll mail it out to you, and I pay up to $10 shipping. So if you watch 1 video during the week, you're entered once. If you watch 5 and you do a comment on each of those, that's 5, and it's 1 comment per video. Can be new or old videos. Okay, so you guys have a great time, and I will see you again next video. Thank you.